Little AFC West action in week 2 as the Raiders travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. Both teams with a different type of week 1. The Raiders got blown out in the second half against the Rams on Monday night. The Broncos beat the Seahawks at home by a field goal to get off to a nice start in this season. Let's take a look at the week 2 matchup from a fantasy perspective and a gambling perspective. We'll start with the yearly format, and for Oakland, there are 3 guys I like here. I think Marshawn Lynch, who found the end zone last week in the opener, is a solid running back to flex play. I think he finds the end zone again. I do think that Amari Cooper bounces back. Yes, 1 catch last week in the opener. That just cannot be the case for this talented wide receiver. You probably drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round. Thus, you have to play him. This is not a matchup that he should shy away from. I think he gets back to the 5, 6, 7 catch number here. And I do like Jared Cook in this matchup. The Seahawks tight ends ran all over the Broncos. Cook had a very good performance in week 1 for the Raiders, so he's someone that Derek Carr obviously trusts. I tried to get him on the waiver wire and couldn't, so let's roll with him in this matchup. For the Broncos, I love Case Keenum here. If you are a Tom Brady owner, like myself, who was a little nervous about him going into Jacksonville and putting up big numbers, Keenum's not a bad play. Over 300 yards last week, 3 touchdowns. I like his receivers a lot as well. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. If you're feeling frisky, maybe even Cortland Sutton, but I would not put him on this list there. I do like Royce Freeman to bounce back. He did have 70 yards in the opener. It just so happened that Philip Lindsay also had 71 yards in the opener. But I do trust Freeman. Solid running back too. Great flex play for this week. I also like Denver's defense here. We saw what kind of mess the Oakland offense was. I do think they get a turnover, potentially a defensive score. So there, I like them. In terms of yearly leagues and who not to play, I'm not a big on Derek Carr right now. I need for him to prove this to us that he's capable of putting up a solid performance in altitude in Denver in week 2. Jordy Nelson looks done. Unfortunately, he was one of my favorite players in fantasy for years. Double-digit touchdowns almost every season. He looks a step slow. He may be done, and that's why the Packers got rid of him to go younger. I also don't like Philip Lindsay this week. Let him prove to us and everyone in the world that he is not just a one-trick pony in terms of 1 week. Good, 70 yards. Let's see him do it again before I invest a starting spot in Philip Lindsay moving forward. In terms of DFS, I love Demaryius Thomas. I love Emmanuel Sanders. As I said, I like Jared Cook. Keenum's the interesting one here because his salary is still reasonably low. I think he'll put up 250-plus yards, a few scores. You got to remember something that, yes, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, their value has shrunk a little bit, but that was because of their bad quarterback play. If they're going to get good quarterback play from Keenum, those guys are both solid values across the board in DFS and yearly. No, I am not playing Derek Carr, Jordy Nelson, Marshawn Lynch. I just don't like those matchups, as I said. I think you have better options at better values across the board. Jared Cook's someone I should go back and mention. I do like him this week, again, in DFS. He should put up decent numbers. He won't go as well as he did against the Rams. I don't see him getting to the 8-9 catch mark, but I do think 5-6 catches, 60 yards, and maybe a score is where you could see Jared Cook. And in terms of a game prediction, I like Denver here a lot. I don't think the Raiders traveling now away from home, all the animosity that's going on potentially in the locker room, has John Gruden already lost the team. I like the Broncos getting their 2nd straight win. I think that they struggle a little bit as we go further in the season, but a 2-0 start would be great for the Broncos. So for more analysis throughout the week, check out the Fantasy Forum. Also check in All Out Blitz, the show, Sunday morning, 11:45 to 1, leading you right up until kickoff as we get ready for week 2 in the NFL. We'll see you then.